Hello, this is Raymond Smith with Disciple Blueprint, helping you become a fully devoted follower of Christ. Hello, we're back and talking about everyday anxiety and how God meets you in it. Because anxiety doesn't usually show up in the big dramatic moments. Most of the time, it shows up in the ordinary. It's the thoughts that hit you when you're laying in bed at night, replaying conversations, thinking about what could go wrong tomorrow. It's that feeling in your chest when you start thinking about something you can't control. It's the pressure that builds when you're trying to carry too many things at once. And what makes it difficult in this? It doesn't wait for a good time. Anxiety shows up in the middle of your day, in the middle of your responsibilities, in the middle of conversations, and in the middle of moments where you're supposed to be present. And suddenly, your mind is somewhere else, running ahead, trying to solve everything, trying to prepare for things that haven't even happened yet. Here's what we tend to do in those moments. We try to manage it. We try to think our way out of it. We try to control the situation, or at least feel like we are. But the more we try to control it, the more it seems to grow, because anxiety feeds on control. It convinces you that if you can just figure everything out, you'll finally feel peace. But that's a moving target. There's always something else to think about, something else to worry about, something else that could go wrong. This is where we need a different approach, because God doesn't meet you only in quiet, perfect, distraction-free moments. Right in the middle of those anxious thoughts, right in the middle of those overwhelming moments. Not after you fix it, not after you calm yourself down, right there. Think about Martha in Luke chapter 10 in verses 38 through 40. Now as they were traveling alone, Jesus entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. And she had a sister called Mary, who was also seated at the Lord's feet, listening to his word. But Martha was distracted with all the preparations, and she came up to Jesus and said, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all of the preparations alone? Then tell her to help me." Well, Martha was doing something good. She was serving, preparing, taking care of responsibilities. But internally, she was overwhelmed, distracted, frustrated, pulled in different directions. And Jesus says something that cuts right to it. In Luke 10:41 through 42, Jesus said to her, "My dear Martha, you're worried and upset over all these details. There is only one thing worth being concerned about. Mary has discovered it, and it will not be taken away from her." That's everyday anxiety. Not rebellion, not failure, just someone carrying too much and too many distractions. And Jesus doesn't shame her, he redirects her. Now think about Peter again. In Matthew 14:28 through 30, it says, "And Peter answered and said to him, 'Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water.' And Jesus said, 'Come.' And getting out of the boat, Peter walked on the water and came towards Jesus. But seeing the wind, he became frightened and began to sink. And he cried out, saying, 'Lord, save me.' He steps out of the boat and begins to walk on the water towards Jesus. And for a moment, he's fine. But then as the tension shifts, he sees the wind, he feels the waves. He starts thinking about what could happen. And what happens next? He begins to sink. That's anxiety in real time. His circumstances didn't change, but his focus did. But here's the part we can't miss. When Peter starts sinking, Jesus doesn't stand back and wait for him to figure it out. He immediately reaches out his hand and catches him. Right there in the middle of the fear. Not after Peter fixes it, not after Peter calms down, right in the moment. That's how God meets you too. Not after you get control of your thoughts and not after you get it together, but right in the middle of it. And Scripture reinforces this over and over again. 1 Peter 5:7 says, "Cast all your cares on him because he cares about you." Not some of them, not the manageable ones, all of them. The small ones, the constant ones, the ones that don't even make sense. Now, let's bring this into everyday moments. When anxiety shows up, it's usually fast. It doesn't announce itself, it just hits. A thought, a feeling, a reaction, and before you even realize it, your mind is off and running. This is where small shifts matter. Not big, dramatic changes, small, intentional moments. Instead of letting your thoughts spiral, you pause, even if it's just for a few seconds. And you turn your attention towards God, not with a long, structured prayer, but just something simple. God, this is what I'm feeling right now. God, this is what's bothering me. Lord, I need your help with this. That's it. And then you do something else that feels small but is powerful. You remind yourself of truth. Not what your thoughts are saying, but what God has already proven. That He's been faithful. That He's carried you before. And He hasn't left you. Because anxiety has a way of making you forget all of that. Over time, those small moments start to add up. And something begins to change. Not necessarily your circumstances, but your response. Instead of immediately spiraling, you start turning. And instead of trying to carry everything, you start releasing it. Instead of staying stuck in your thoughts, you start bringing them to God. And here's something else to remember. Progress in this area is not instant. It's not something you master overnight. It's something you practice moment by moment, day by day, and thought by thought. Some days you'll do this well. Other days you'll catch yourself halfway down the spiral. That's okay, because this isn't about perfection. It's about direction. And the more you turn toward God in these everyday anxious moments, the more you begin to experience something different. Not the absence of anxiety, but the presence of peace in the middle of it. So the next time anxiety shows up, don't see it as something you have to defeat on your own. See it as a moment to pause, a moment to turn, a moment to bring it to God. Right there in real time. Because that's where He meets you, not somewhere else, not later, right there. If this encouraged you today, don't stop here. Head over to DiscipleBlueprint.com and check out the Disciple Blueprint website and membership option, where you'll find deeper studies, tools, and resources to help you grow in your faith every day. And if you haven't already, follow us at Disciple Blueprint so you don't miss what's next. We'll see you in the next episode.